Shir sponsor Lunish Basam Yakashom Labas Yitzchok. We're holding in Bobakama Dafran base. We're starting at Dafran Alvin base in the bottom, 4 lines from the bottom. Omer Blozer. This part of the Gemara comes in once we mention this idea that when you have 2 partners that own a bar, and one tells the other one, here, take the cover, and you're gonna be responsible to cover the bar. So now that we're mentioning something which has nothing to do with that sugya, it's a new thing, regarding a kinyan of a bar. And the Gemara says the following. Omar Belozer, someone who sells a pit to his friend, the minute you give him the cover, he's kind of similar to what we said in the previous sugya, that when one partner gives his partner the cover, he makes him responsible. So when one gives the buyer a cover, he becomes the one responsible. So what's the case? If we talk about it there with money, and he's buying the board with money, likin b'kaspo, so he uses money. If b'chazoko, so b'chazoko, likin b'chazoko. I mean, there's ways to buy karka, to buy a board, either with money or with chazaka. What is over here that he's giving him the cover? Saying b'chazoko. Is chazaka. But how does chazaka work? The owner who's selling it to the buyer, the seller, needs to tell the buyer, go ahead and do chazaka. As long as he's not giving him permission to do it, he can't do it. So giving him the cover is the giving of the permission. By giving him the cover is as if he's giving him the instructions. Go and coin to the bar. And the Gemara is going to continue on. The 2 dots over here is obviously a mistake. The Gemara is going to continue on bringing 2 other examples like these. I'm sure believe how Moicher buys the chaver, someone who sells the house to his friend, came and showed him masal mafteach kono. Once he gives him the key, once he gives him the key, he's coin. Hey, what's the case? Even talk about with money, likin b'kaspo. Even chazoko, likin b'chazoko. So what is this idea that you're coining with a key? Again, a similar idea. The seller needs to give permission to the buyer to be coining. Once he gave him the key, it's as if he gave him the instructions to do lechazakukni. So the Mo'ala Shlokish, a similar 3rd case of this, someone who sells the sheep, the flock, to his friend. Once he gives him the mashchuchis, we'll see what it is in a moment, but something that pulls the Eider. What's the case? Even Mashiach, if you're doing Mashiach over the behemoths, they give him Mashiach. Even Mesira, there's even Moiser, let's say the rope, they give him Mesira. Similarly, you have to give him the instructions, the permission. As if he gave him the instruction, the permission. What is Mashchichus? Here they translate Kashkashta, which means it's a bell that you do in front of the Eider and they go after it. Talk about the goat that goes in the front of the Eider. A glilo, when the shepherd is upset on the sheep, he makes the leader blind. Meaning, every time you have a flock of sheep, there is a goat who is the one in charge. And that leads the Eider. So if, for whatever reason, the shepherd is upset on the Eider, so then what does he do? He makes the goat blind. What happens to the goat? The goat goes into a pit and falls in the pit. And all the sheep that's following him also follow the sheep in the pit. They follow the leader. So before we go on, before we learn this, I got a little better. Just to mention, the Gemara mentioned giving the key is a kohen or not. Here's Masha kohen, the key is not kohen. That Toys brings, is there a kinyan by a ger, for example, with a key? So he says that when he gives him a key, he wants to bring a machlekes, is giving a key kohen or not. Oh, and you see, he brings a riot. He says, you see from our Gemara that using a key doesn't work. Key is only an indication you can do chazaka, but key itself does not work. And the only time we find that a key does work is by chometz. So that's just regarding the halacha. There's a big discussion here in the Rishonim. Another interesting thing, here's the agata that we have right before the Mishnah. What is the Gemara saying? The Gemara says that when you have a bad sheep, so then you have the shepherd makes the goat who goes in front of the sheep blind. So Rashi says this is a mashal to Am Yisrael. What is the mashal? Look at Rashi. Rashi says, Kach, the last two lines before the Mishnah. Keshamokim nifrim Yisrael Yisrael, Kadosh Baruch Hu is punishing Am Yisrael, mimanulim parnosim sheinim mugadim. When Am Yisrael doing bad, so Kadosh Baruch Hu is mimane a parnos, a leader, was not appropriate. That's what Rashi brings over here. The Yefei Toyar is one of the earlier Pirushim in the Medrash. Here's a question. It says, our Gemara is mashma, the leader is a reflection of the door. You say the leader in the door, if the door is bad, the leader will be bad as well. That's what Rashi learns our sugya. The Gemara in Erechit says that many times the leader is not like the generation. Sometimes the leader is a tzaddik and generation is bad. Like you have by Chizkiel, that he was good and the generation was not. And sometimes the opposite, that the generation is good, but the leader is bad. It was a case of Tzidkiel. So the Gemara is asking, just to mention it inside, that Yoakim, I said the wrong names. Yoakim was bad and his generation was good. And by Tzidkiel, the generation was bad, but Tzidkiel was good. So you see that the leader is not a generation. That's why Torah asks, has a steer between the sugyas. Says the Iyun Yaakov over here, that's not a steer. They were talking about when you still have a schus. What was trying to help the generation. So you have a good leader saving the generation. But in our case, talking about the generation is over, there's no schusim anymore. So then the leader will be bad as the generation caused the generation to do something wrong. But it's Tzibri Chasidus, they even swear and bring it. They say that the idea is like more their Chasidus. Pshat is, Kishbubu makes the leader blind, so the leader will not see how bad the generation is, and you'll continue doubting for them. So that works with that Gemara. The leader is not like generation. Generations are bad. The leader is blind in a way that he doesn't know what he's doing, doesn't know what the generation is, so he will be able to save the generation with his tefillah. Okay. So the Mishnah. So you have the first partner comes, he covers the board, covers the second one, and sees it open. And he doesn't cover it. Hasheni chayav. That's Hasheni is responsible. Kiso karoi, he covered it well. It wasn't explained what happened, why the first, what's the chiddush of it. Kiso karoi did a good kisui. V'nofel atoich l'shoyer chamor v'meis. And then an ox or a donkey fell. Potter. He's potter. He covered it. Like Kiso karoi did not cover it well. V'nofel atoich l'shoyer chamor v'meis. Then he's chayav. Nofel lefono mikol hakriya. And this is basically explanation. When is he chayav? When the shore fell in front on his face because of the noise of the kriya, even if the kriya did it. Chayav, and we'll see the Gemara why a kriya means if someone was banging in the bar and caused him to fall. Lachar mikol kriya, if he fell backwards, potter. Why is he potter? So the Gemara is going to bring that the reason is if you hold because of havloi, bad hair, when he falls backwards, he doesn't have bad hair, so he should not die from it. If into the bar there is the shor, the axe, with his kalim, with his load, and the kalim broke, chamor v'kalim in his karu, the donkey and his kalim and the kalim got torn, chav l'beim or patul l'kalim. Chav the animal on the kalim, because the kalim is special pasuk, do not have kalim in bar. If it's a shor, which the shor is kashir v'katon, the shore is not able to see to hear. Remember, it doesn't have the minimum das of an animal. Or ben ubas, children, ever do hamon. All these cases is potter, and we'll see the more why. Says the Gemara. By the way, by Ben Ubas, as Rashi points out, adults should potter. So why should children also potter? What's the chiddush about children? So says Rashi, I would think maybe adults will potter because they should be more careful about themselves. But children not. Chiddush is every other potter, even if kids that don't have das. So Gemara, Risha, the aim must be that. Until when do you say that the first one is potter? You said he covered it, it was open, he's potter because he didn't know. Until he knows. What is B'chtei Sheyeda? Rashi learns that the Rishon passed by there and saw that the cover that he put is not there anymore. Shmuel B'chtei Sheyodihu. No, doesn't have to be there himself. As long as someone came and told him. Meaning, Pashtas, the way Rashi learns, Rav is learning, if someone comes to tell us, he doesn't have to believe him. Someone comes to tell, oh, by the way, your door is open. I covered it. I don't know if you're right. But if he has to go see it himself. Shmuel says if someone tells us that's good enough. But Rabbi Yochanan he agrees with Shmuel, but he says you have to have that. It's not just enough that he knows about it. Enough to hire workers, chop down trees, and build a new cover to cover the bar. The more goes on, he covered it well, fell into a narrow pot. If he covered it well, so how did anybody fall? It got rotten. The cover got rotten, got spoiled, got destructed. So now that's the case. So the more now. He put a cover. The cover could handle some animals. Oxen, donkeys, but now camels, not big animals. The also came the camels, they shook up the cover. The also then came oxen falling into it. What's the case over there? What's the case? Ask them more. If camels are passing by the whole time, he's responsible. You should put a cover for the camels. When camels never pass by, so what do you want from him? He did whatever he knew. So they come once in a while. He's Pasher, should have been know this thing. Or Dilma Kivan de Hashto Mia Sleko, honestly, mice at the end of the day. Right now, there's no camels, they come once in a while. Right now, he's honest. He should have known that once in a while they come. But now they're not here. So that will be the case. Now here, as Tais points out, if the camel fell to his butter, camel, you're not supposed to think. But if the camel made it bad and now a shark could fall into it, that's when you say, come in the fucking. You know this bar could be a little bit tricky. So you didn't really cover it enough for the shark. That's the time. That's what Rashi says. Look at Rashi says. Look at the Rashi, one Rashi before the end of the Amud. Also short enough the bay. The enough the Gemali learn Bava the Chayav the Gemali Peshav. So Rashi learns, of course you Chayav for Gemali. The opposite of what I said before. Toys is the one who says no. If you look at Toys brings it to Rashi, last Toys from the Amud. And Toys says, sorry, it's not Toys, it's a different Rashi. Toys actually re-emphasizes Rashi. Rashi says, of course it's Chayav for Gemali. The Chiddush says Toys is for the shorm. I would say, okay, Gemali fall into it. Okay, understood. But a Gemali make it ra'ua, make it ruin the cover and cause the short to fall. Maybe I want to think about it. That's a Chiddush. Says the Gemara. So that's what the Gemara is the supuk. What is the supuk? If the Gamal made it ra'ua, is a Chayav or not? Says the Gemara. So me and read what that's the focus. Come once in a while. Peshav the very last sukkah that I should think about it. Deal with what Nashta me like. It's more Toshma. Kisau Karoi. He did a good cover. Our Mishnah. So more goes back, not saying the Hakim to what we just said before. Hey, then what's the case? Even with the Karoi, they covered well. The Shroim, the Karoi, the Gemali, make enough. If you did a good cover, how did they fall? Elav Karoi, the Shroim, he did cover well for oxen. We have a base and one base. For the Karoi, the Gemali, not for the Gemali. But if camels are there a lot, they might potter. If the camel is never there, we're talking about it. Gemolim come once in a while. For also Gemolim came the Gemolim made the cover Ra'ua, which means not so stable. And it says on Mishnah Potter. You see from here, if it's not here right now, it's on us. So you see from here what? What do you see from here? You see from here the thing that we see from here that right for the Mishnah that if the Gemolim made it bad, it ruins for everybody. So I'm you look. We're talking about it that the same answer we had before. It got rotten. The cover got basically spoiled, and that's what happened. He didn't know about it. It became wormy. That's the real translation. The worms ate it up. So more brings another rap. Tashma like Yisoka, we did not cover it well. And about the Shurach Hamor and the Shurach Hamor fell into the Meis Chaim. That's the next part of the Mishnah. So it's a bad bar, bad cover. It does not protect not from oxen, not from camels. Hey, so pshita. So what's a chiddush? Elalav karoi l'shvoim v'lo karoi l'gmol. Elamai, it's good for oxen, not for camels. So the more goes to the same debate we had before. Hey, what's the case? If there's many camels there, is it responsible? If there's no camels there, so what do you want from it? Elalav, they asked in the fucking. Comes once in a while. Also, the Gemolim made it Iraqi, and the Shvarim fell into it. And it says in the Mishnah Chayov, you see, so what's bringing around for the sake of the Mishnah? Says the Gemara, the way the Bach adds over here. He says a little different. Let's see the argument. The cover is good for oxen, not for camels. Gemolim were always there. So he's responsible. Of course he's responsible. I did not say Kisor Karoi, that's the same now we look Kisor Karoi. You're right. The same of the Mishnah is no Chiddush. But because in the beginning of the Mishnah we spoke about he did a good cover and the other is Chiddush, so now I say the same as the Shaloi Karoi even though there's no Chiddush. Ikadam, some say, Anami Vadilo Ibalam. Was not even a question. When they asked him the fact that come once in a while, he's a Pushar. You should have think about it. Ki bailon, achu di bailon. There's a different question. You have a cover, you put a cover that works for oxen, but does not work for camels, and camels are shchiki. No, then what happened? And it got rotten, they got wormy. The cover naturally, not his fault, got ruined. Now, do we say Migor that he's Pesheya? For the camels, he's Pesheya, even though this became wormy or not? All the Rishonim jump up and say, whoa, isn't this the classic case of Tchilosoy Pesheya v'Soy Boinus? That we're going to see later in the Masechta too? What's Tchilosoy Pesheya v'Soy Boinus? A person starts something, the Pesheya. He did something wrong. Then the illness happened. Then it happened, something on his fault. This is exactly what happened over here. He left the cover, which is now good for camels, and camels are around. And then it got erupted. Why is that because of Shiva Sabonis? The Rishonim have several answers to this. Well, let's just mention what Toy says over here. Toy says that Chilos of Shiva Sabonis is only if the oinus came because of the Pshia. Right? He says, there was when you have a case that the animal she went up in the mountain. She could have slipped and then she died instead. The death was by the pshia putting it up in the mountain that caused a non-natural death. That's the oinus. But if the oinus has nothing to do with the pshia, he did pshia on one thing, it was pshia for the camels, and the oinus has nothing to do with what he did. So then you don't say Tchaz B'Shia V'Soy Boyin, it's not that Soy, it's different Soy. I mean, Tchaz B'Shia V'Soy Boyin is only when it's related to each other. But if Tchaz B'Shia V'Soy is not related to each other, you don't say it. Right? Because as Ran Teis points out, even if it would be covered well, it'd still be Matliya Metoich, it'd still get warm. So we're going now back to our Mishnah. It just says you covered it well, and a shor chamor fell into it, potter. Feed by alone, my beer eats over chamo sheet liam and toychas. Well, before we talk about they got rata. Hey, get down. You look career the short career the gemara. Talk about there was good cover for oxen and for camel. Feed liam and toychas. It got wormy. Shit the potter. He did everything he can. He covered it, and then something not natural happened. Elav career the short career the gemara. Talk about it's good for oxen, but not for camels. V'shchichig molim yit liam and toychas. And then it got ruined. From our Mishnah, you see this is the case, and it's answering the question. Says the Gemara, it's good for everybody. What do you want for him to do? He's out. What can he do? He can do whatever he can. I would think, no, he is responsible. He should go once in a while to check that the cover is still solid. You can't just rely on the cover forever. So that's something which is not common, and he could rely on the cover usually. Continues what Torah being arrived in the end of the Mishnah. Same rabbi before. Like you saw curving over the Roshar Chamor, he didn't cover it well. And an axe and a camel and a donkey fell, the made chayav. Hey, you know what's the case? Even look early, short, look early was not really enough for sure, not gbolim. Tzichle mer the chayav. What's the chiddush? Then it's chayav. He didn't do any cover. Elav korel shor lo korel gmolim. It's good for the oxen, not for the camels. If it's gmolim b'shel, if gmolim were there, b'shel. If it's gmolim also, same question before. Elav gmolim, there's gmolim with there. If liam itoicho, you got wormy. B'ktani chayv, amin miguda b'shel gmolim b'shel neatlo. You see with me, if it's b'shel for one thing, it's b'shel with something else as well. Amir loy, lo korel shvoim v'lo korel gmolim. It is good for oxen, not for camels. The Gemara came back to our original Kimto. The Gemara came ruined this cover. Was a shvar enough for the baby. The Kashta of Pshita B'Shah. Hi, so what's the Kiddush? We just learned earlier that's B'Shah. I did not say Reisha. So Karoi, that's the same thing. Look, it's similar to what we said before. Because the Reisha spoke about the case, they did it right. The Sefer said something which is not a Kiddush. He did it not right. So another right. Toshmanaf, Navot Shor Chir Shet V'Koton. Sum Al Balaylo Chayav. So if you have a shor that goes in there, falls in there, and the shor, it's either he's a deaf, mute, meaning can't hear, he's not saying, he's too young, he's blind, he's going in the night, he's chayav, because the shor cannot protect itself. But if he's saying, and he's walking the day, patur. In other words, he should guard himself not to fall. Why do you say the same svara? If he's pushing up for the cheresh, because the cheresh can fall into it, so his cheresh is pushing up the same migu we had before. No. So more concludes, you see from here, you don't say migu. Meaning, the fact he's pushing up for one thing doesn't mean he push out for everything else. And therefore he's part and also by here, if he did a cover for shvarim, good enough. Kumolim did not go through it. But he claimed you'll be responsible because he did not going to be responsible because what happened in the end, it wasn't his fault. And even though wasn't good enough for the Gemara. Okay, well, this will conclude this stuff.